live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O on the Original Sports Podcast.
D.O. You ever been to the O?
Yes.
Everybody from the bar been to the O, and then they shut that shit down.
That grease was awesome.
Hold on. Did y'all go to the bathroom downstairs?
Yeah,
it was always flooded.
It was sketchy.
Of course. I threw up so many times down there, I can't even count on two hands.
I was about to say, we're in our 20s. Knowing now the way you look at things, what could that kitchen have looked like on the floor? And I mean, again, we're drunk. Have you ever? Here's a question. Better question. Have you ever been to the O? Have you ever been to the O during daylight hours?
Oh yeah.
I've never eaten at the O or been to the O in daylight hours. Never once. I've been there. I was like down here at what is we call it? Waffle House. I have never been to the Waffle House during daylight hours.
Waffle House.
Waffle. I've been to the O in the daytime.
Hey, they built this Waffle House up here, Chops, in Frederick. Is right across the street from the airport. Like 4 months later, they tore it down. They said planes are having a hard time coming in for their landing over that Waffle House, and they ripped that shit right down 4 months after it was up.
Are you serious?
Oh, serious as a heart attack.
In Frederick?
Yeah.
When was this? A long time ago.
Yeah, this is a minute ago. Yep.
That new restaurant, I don't like it. Everybody thinks it's delicious.
Which one?
It's the one right at the airport. It's called, I don't know.
You mean that little dive restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the airport cafe or something.
There you go. Something like that.
That's not your style. That's not your style.
Oh, man. Here, they get down at the Waffle House here. Fights, whatever.
What about Varsity? Chops, you hit Varsity?
What do you have? Oh, yes.
I've been to the Varsity.
Give me 2 slaw dogs to go, Jack. Yes.
I've been to Varsity.
What do you
have? I played Varsity, too, at Kiski.
Yes.
What do you have? Yeah, man. Speaking of Kiski, you heard Dickie D died, right?
I heard that. 93.
What happened to Dickie?
Old age.
I wonder if he still hated me when he died. He didn't like me.
No, I wasn't a fan. He wasn't a fan of me either, man.
Can't stand you.
Yeah, he didn't like me. This one time we were sitting in film. I got a good story for you. This one time we were sitting in film.
Make it a double.
It was my junior year. And Dickie D told me this team likes to screen like crazy. He said, if you feel the screen come, if you're rushing, you feel the screen coming, I want you to back out and look for the receiver. So I started doing like they did in the NFL back in the day. I'd take the snap, I'd take 2 steps, and I'd back my shit up like a linebacker, and there I was. So we get the film the next day. That's it. And Dick was like, what the hell are you doing? They start calling me Nickel D. He had a key ring, and he had like some mace or a knife or some shit in a leather little pouch. He threw that shit at me across the LGI, the large group instruction room. I'm like, what the hell? You know.
Hey, when he said, watch for the screen, I'm like, you played hoops? I was like, what?
Mine, Mr. Maradei. You remember Mr. Maradei?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. My senior year, right? All I did, I didn't play any offense. All I was defense. I played D tackle. So it's defensive day. So we're doing defense, doing my thing, making tackles. So I come off, I'm talking big noise. Reggie White ain't got nothing on me. I'm talking big noise. At this point, everything switched over. Now it's offensive period. They're doing some offensive period. That don't have nothing to do with me. So I'm joking around. I'm joking around, whatever have you. Maradei comes up. You can't do it now. You could not do this now. Snatches me by the helmet. What are you doing? You got something that just goes off me. He said, no, you know what? Just sit here and shut up. All right, I'm sorry. No, I got something better. You see that down there? Now, mind you, we're in the 40. Go down there and tell me, see that telephone pole? Put your face mask on it and tell me if it moves. I run down to the goal. It's basically in the end zone on a practice field. There's a telephone pole. I'm standing there like a schmuck with my face mask touching the telephone pole. After about 20 minutes, move, get up here. Did it move? No, coach, it didn't move. You couldn't do that to a student now. They have their parents calling you being all kinds.
Yeah, you know that.
I'll never forget that. Never forget that.
I saw him. I forget who it was that I was playing with. I saw them. It was Maradei. He made somebody go down the end zone by the goalpost, lay down, and roll 100 yards up and 100 yards back.
I'd be just, oh man.
Hey, you'll love this one. This is the last story about these jackasses. They're both dead too. God rest their soul. He used to have a paddle.
Yes.
He had a paddle, and then he had like this chain link, like 5 pieces of chain link fence. He had taped on the paddle. You be hitting a sled. He come up behind you with that shit. Right on your pads, right on your tailbone pads.
Yeah. We had a coach that was definitely afraid of lightning. Definitely afraid of lightning. Mr. Nooch. He was definitely afraid of Nooch. He was definitely afraid of lightning.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
And if you're doing it wrong. Yeah, man. And if it rained, he was good if it would rain, but as soon as he saw lightning, he ran like he had hot coal up the ass. And he always wore an orange poncho. Yeah. Mr. Nooch was a great guy. He was cool. I liked him, but he was rotund. So he wears an orange parka or poncho, orange poncho during rain. Every time he come up over the hill, we'd say it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Every time, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
He used to come in the huddle. He called plays for JV. Wasn't he JV coach? He'd come in and say, hey, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go 32 double blast. I want you to hit it here, bounce, and you're gone. Boom, 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 you're gone. I'll tell you what, let's run it. He always did that too. Licked his fingers.
Never got hyped.
I'll tell you what.
Never got hyped, never got excited.
Nah. Then Dave Grimm used to come. His assistant on the JV used to come to practice. He'd have like 2 cans in his lip.
And he had a belly too. And you could see where he'd spit, but he'd miss. So it'd go down. Yes.
I had him for reading class.
I can't imagine.
Someone got him pissed off. He goes, give me something. Someone like slid the English book. He just welded at this kid. I'm like, why'd you give that to him?
Old school, man.
Hey, he got jumped in the school. When I was in high school, I was a sophomore, boys. He got jumped by these 2 brothers. He was walking down the hallway, and they jumped his ass from behind. He threw him off him. He beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
He kept his job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Grimm was old school, man.
Yeah, old school. You couldn't do that today.
I laughed at him doing that. He saw me in the hall and just like jacked me up. Hits the lockers. Yep. I go, what are you doing? He scared the shit out of me. That guy was huge.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. He was a good guy, though.
Yeah, he was
a good guy.
Was there Mr. Grimm hitting the sled, and he fell off the sled. Sled got caught in his legs and broke both his legs.
Oh, shoot.
When I tell you, he army crawled out, and he went back to his military days. He was talking like, we're behind enemy lines. Come on, guys, fight. I'm telling you, that Mr. Grimm was no joke with his.
Hey, I think he fought in Vietnam.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he fought in Vietnam.
He was no joke.
Good memories. God rest Dick Dilts. He was a great coach, though. Won a hell of a lot of games. Rasheen, he was a trendsetter before trendsetting started. The things that we did in the late 70s, early 80s playing football for this guy, they just started doing a lot of these schools the last, say, 15 years tops at the most. Like shit that we did back then, it was insane. Hey, nothing says Pittsburgh Steelers and someone who's able to share their in-depth insights from the Steel City itself. Tonight we got Smitty. Smitty from around the 412 is joining us. That 412 podcast really bangs too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no downtime in the NFL, so we'll talk with Smitty about free agency. We're going to talk about the draft, rookie camp, OTAs, and of course, camp that's coming up here pretty soon. Things officially kick off right now for the Steelers. As soon as they hit camp, it's right around the corner. So if you're out there, grab yourself an iron, get yourself an Isley's Chip Chop ham sandwich, and listen as we pick Smitty's brain here in a little bit for the latest on the Steelers. How about that?
You don't like Chip Chop? You don't like Chip Chop ham?
I love Chip Top ham. You don't like Chip Top ham? Shit,
when I
moved to Isley's in Vandergrift.
When I moved to Maryland, I asked for that. What are you talking about?
They looked
paper thin, like
yes.
No. They have that. They have ham salad. They don't know what a hoagie is. I'm like, what the hell?
Pittsburgh Ease is definitely a thing. Nobody knows down here what a gum band is, dippy eggs. They didn't know any of that.
Hey, 26 years I lived here, and somebody just told me recently I have a Pittsburgh accent still.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, 26 years. And I work really hard not to have that shit.
Some Jaguars are talking about.
I know. Until I go back home, then I'll be like, what are you doing tonight? You going downtown Vandergrift, or what are you doing
Exactly.
Get
downtown.
Hey, let's do a little spontaneous reaction. Everybody, we're changing up the spontaneous reaction. Chops came up with a great idea this week, and we decided to change up the spontaneous reaction. We each let each other know in our group chat that what sport we're going to talk about, but we didn't say what the question is. So this is truly a spontaneous reaction. Hey, we got some guys chiming in already. Hey, what's up, Kenny T? Kenny, check this one out. Check that one out. How about that?
Wow, Tardivo.
Lafayette Street.
Let me tell you something. About Tardivo.
Street representing.
Tardivo, he's a little bit older than me, right?
Yeah.
Him, my cousin Lou Hutch, Jimmy Joe, all his older cats. They used to play at the cut. They used to play cut wiffle ball. They never let me pay to play those dirty, rotten scoundrels. They
didn't want to fucking get hurt. What are you kidding me? They didn't want to get hurt. You big ass. You've been that big since like third grade.
They never. And then he was used to be a lifeguard at the pool. He'd be like, Mills, keep it up or not to sit you. They'd sit you on the wall when you were cutting up. When you were cutting up.
Deets, you didn't do that, did you?
Man, man. They got me, dog. They got me.
Hey, our guy Danny Barry's here to join us every Tuesday.
DB.
Love when that dude comes in. Thanks for joining us, Daniel. All right, who's up first? Let's go, Chop. Spontaneous reaction.
Fellas, okay, real quick. Your boy, I had so many. I had literally something for every sport. But here's my thing.
I know where
Mercado gets a life ban, right?
Yeah.
Mercado gets a life ban that doesn't lead off any sports outlet. Nothing. He got okay. On the same day that Otani's guy changes his plea and says guilty, there's no need for trial. He's now looking up to 33 years. Fellas, I got so many layers of this, but my thing was, number one, we've had baseball, we've had football, and we've had basketball players suspended, banned, not banned in football, but suspended because of betting. The Pirates stay in a casino hotel when they go to St. Louis. Fellas, what are we doing here on the aspect of, does betting matter to us, the fan? Or because the sports leagues are in bed with it. I mean, like, what's your reaction to he's banned? Is betting an issue? Your boy Otani, his guy goes quietly to jail. That was closed quick, fast, in a hurry. What are your guys' thoughts on betting and what's taken over in sports? What do you see with it?
The sports betting is taking over. Good, Sheen.
But the way it's affecting the game, does it bother you? Or you're like, yo, if they got the money, let them bet.
If they're playing, Mercado wasn't playing. But if he's playing, just like the basketball dude just got banned,
Porter,
if they're playing, there's speculation that they're fixing the game.
Right.
You can't do that.
But remember, we saw your boy Rudy Gobert do like this to the refs. We know there was an NBA ref who was caught. I mean,
exactly.
And now we hear about guys saying sports is entertainment. Sports is entertainment. So that's why it's hard for me even like to get mad. I get because we saw it with the Ravens. You get into the AFC Championship game or playoff game, and you abandon the run. It just makes me, what is going on with betting? That's my thing. I don't know, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Sizzle. If you're in the game, yeah, you have a chance to sway the game. I mean, with Marcano, if he was just betting losses for the Pirates, I mean, he could have won all season. I mean, that's an all day. That's
he lost every bet he made, right? All
ain't that crazy?
Bets.
Yeah,
he lost all 25 bets. Why you would ever bet on the Pirates is beyond me.
You said it. Why didn't just bet on the Pirates to lose? Oh, I won one.
Yeah. Well, they said more. I heard more detail this afternoon. He was doing parlays. That's why he was losing. He wasn't just like, okay, I'll take the Pirates.
And it was when he was hurt too. I think he was down the minors. He was rehabbing, but it also like 5 or 6 other guys they found out today also.
Yeah,
their names are coming out. that they.
Why not just have somebody put the bets in for you? I don't get it.
Dumbest shit. I don't know why.
Yeah, and these guys are using their own names, and it's like you come into the locker room and it says no betting, rule number 23 or something.
Fellas, I wanted to make sure I had this correct. It says they've done more research. It came out because I was looking right before. He bet over 387 times. He only won like 4%. So they found more research. But here's the thing. You were able to find that out, but you can't, and you suspend him quick. You talk about Ohtani for 1 day, 2 days tops, and now it's his guy's guilty. He's going to jail up to 33 years he's looking at. You can't tell me Ohtani didn't tell him, dude, do your time. I'll take care of your family. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Listen. Ohtani was behind it all. I don't care what they say. It's too much of an open and shut case that quickly. They're hiding it. You know, somebody in my other group, somebody in my ESEN group that I'm part of that group on Facebook. It's a network group. And one of the guys is like, yeah, they can't do that to him. He's the face of baseball. And I'm like, shit. Anybody with any common sense knows that he did that and has to lose some personal respect for him.
I feel like these guys coming out now, Marcano and these other names to be named, are scapegoats for Ohtani.
Maybe. Deflecting it away from Ohtani.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about him, you're going to have to talk about Ohtani. So let's not lead off with Mercado. And then sweep Ohtani under the rug. I mean, real quick.
Yeah, they came out with that right after it too, boy. I'll tell you. Unbelievable.
All right, what's yours, T Scissors? Whoever's next. How many? Who's up?
Well, you took mine. I said I'm going to do the MLB, and you took mine. You got, that's all right. I got plenty in the bag. But, hey, that's all right, Chops. How about this one? I know it's not, like, real controversial, but did you guys see Michael Jordan set another record? His 2003, 2004 Upper Deck basketball card, 1 of 1. Sold for $2.928 million.
Wish I had that.
The money or the card?
I know. Can you imagine that? My thing was, I still have them up in the attic. Hopefully they're not all faded and ripped up by the mice. But who's going to buy that?
Somebody buys it.
They buy it.
Somebody buys it.
$2.9 million, almost $3 million.
Hey, listen, there's people collect all kind of shit out there.
I know, it's crazy.
I started playing disc golf. Vincent and I are playing disc golf now, which is a shit ton of fun, boys.
What's your groin?
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So anyway, it's a shit ton of fun. So today I was doing some investigating. We bought some used discs. They're fine, but I'm looking into it. I'm trying to learn so I can play better. Mm-hmm. And there's people who go out there and just buy the discs. There are collector's discs. And I'm like, damn.
Now, do you throw like this or do you throw like this?
I do both. They make discs.
You go like this or like this?
The crazy part is, which I didn't even know until I found out last year, I got a buddy who's in it. They have discs the same way professional golfers have different clubs. You have certain discs that go. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding? I just thought they were all the same.
I had a driver, 2 mid-range, and a putter. They all have different weights. They all have different grips around the size.
Wow.
Did you reinstate the shot put spin move that you used to do?
No.
Or you just go straight out?
It's a shuffle. You do like a quick shuffle, or you just stand there and you got to work on, like, how you do the discus where you're flipping the hips, but it's got to come across the chest and stay flat. Even if you want, there are discs set, you stay flat across the chest. And when you release it, it automatically takes off and goes up in the air. There are discs that you throw straight that they'll go straight and do a bend to where you want it to go. I mean, it's really interesting. I'm really into it.
These hips don't lie. Max and I went to a place down here. These people thought they were cute. They put a crick in that place. So I'm down the creek. I throw it up. It hits a tree. Comes back down the creek. I throw it up. It goes like this. Circles back around in the creek. I'm like, I had like 3 or 4 shots in the creek. What the hell?
Were you playing with a disc golf, or were you throwing a boomerang?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he messed my discs up. Yeah, that's a fun sport.
Hey, check it out. We got somebody on here who likes to play a little disc golf. Robert Wardell. I'm pretty good at disc golf myself. It's about the plastic as well. Yeah, that's what I'm reading, Robert. Not just the weight. We have a club here. with 3 18-hole courses. You
Wow.
can't rent carts and all. You can rent carts and all now. See, we don't have that. We got 4 courses over here in Maryland where I live. There's one at the end of my street. It's 18 holes. And there's 2. There's one in Middletown, Maryland. There's one in Woodsboro, Maryland, and one in Walkersville, Maryland.
Robert, is there a cart girl? Does she bring around the drinks? That's all.
I can't believe you got a cart. I was just thinking yesterday to myself when we were walking, when my son and I were walking, I'm thinking, damn, we could use a cart for this. That's pretty funny. Thanks for the insight. I love that.
Hey, the way I was done, I need an ATV.
It's just, it's like anything else. It's like playing any other sport. No, but there's he said no, but there's a bar.
There you go.
Hey, I got a little bag. I'm sure you got a bag, Robert. I got a bag and it's got like a little holder in it. Vincent said, Dad, we're going to take water bottles. I said, you're taking a water bottle. I'm taking something else in my bottle.
Shane, what's your spontaneous combustion?
Hey, guys, Caitlin Clark foul. Was it foul or was it foul?
Both. Here's the crazy part about it, though.
Yeah, both.
Here's the crazy part about it, though. Rewatch it. She took Kennedy or Kennedy, however you pronounce her name.
Hollywood.
It was a cheap shot, and she didn't even make it worth it. Watch how Caitlin Clark falls. She falls, but you should have been able. If she's not looking, you got her by what, 40 pounds, 7 inches. Caitlin Clark, yeah, she fell because she wasn't expecting it. But Kennedy, I'm like, that was all. That's the best you got. You're gonna do a cheap shot. Make it worth it. Make it worth it.
Is this the same chick that like strangled Angel Reese?
No, that was a different chick.
Elisa Thompson. She was
Robert,
watching
we are
wrestling.
in a pickleball.
She chokeslammed her.
She did.
I'm in a pickleball too. Hey, my thoughts on it, fellas, and I'm not going to get wild and crazy about it, but I just think it's bullshit. This whole draft class is an amazing draft class. All these ladies that came in can play basketball, but if you look at the numbers at the arenas, Caitlin Clark is selling these arenas out. That's who's selling these arenas out because she broke the NCAA scoring records. Okay, that's why she's selling these arenas out. The men's and women's, she's the all-time leading scorer. People want to see her. It's turned into such fucking melee. It's about race. It's about her coming in with a chip and all this shit. I don't want to hear it. I just don't.
We'll do, and we can't get into it now, but that is definitely it. Because we know people identify with people who look like them. There have been girls we've talked about this, that have come out of college that have accomplished a shit ton more than she has. And even the woman who had the record before her didn't get these accolades. So we do realize that now in every sport, Jerry Cooney in boxing, the great white height, you know what I mean? So, and she is the one now. I tell you what, though, regardless of race, whatever, regardless of how her career turns out, and I'm not saying she's about to be Jordan, whatever, but I do tell you this rookie year for her reminds me of when Jordan was young. Remember, Jordan said, I had to get into the weight room. She's going to have to get into the weight room. She's going to have to, though.
I mean, right now, she is number 1 in 3-point shots. She's number 4 in assists and number 4 in something else. I forget what the other thing is. Her turnovers have tapered way off. Her game is really, she's starting to figure that piece of it out. I just don't find any value in watching some woman walk up and mug her and the ball's not even in play. Like that was just uncalled for.
So
I'm behind too.
It is true, but also on the same token, it's funny because we're all from the area. Now I would have done it face to face, but I'm from the area. If you talk jive to me, you talk crazy, you talk greasy, it's going to be something. Right. And Caitlin Clark does a whole lot of talking. In college, she'd get away with that. These are grown-ass women nowadays, and she's been jawing a whole lot of people. And these women, and it's a difference. So she was jawing at Kennedy or whatever her name is earlier. Now, to me, you should have just grabbed her right then and there, or make it a basketball play if you're going to try to get retribution. She didn't do either of those. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but
generational talent.
Yes.
No, and here's why I don't say that. Hold on. She's a great shooter. She really is. But Ionescu was a great shooter also. And Ionescu, to me, she has a complete game. You see, your girl is not going inside that arc. She's not doing a whole lot of work, Caitlin Clark, inside the arc, driving, whatever happens.
So, okay. Oh, so Steph Curry, generational talent.
Thank you. I was just going to say that.
I've told y'all before, Steph Curry has ruined the game of basketball. Did you see they showed when they were the 72 and 10 team, he had 6 3-pointers.
Yeah.
The rest of the team only attempted 5. You realize we watched the other night where 7-foot Karl Anthony Town had 10 or 12 attempts on his own. Yeah. Everybody wants to hit the 3 now. I love watching what Steph has done, but to me, and I've said it before, he has ruined the game. And to me, generational talents are guys who can do it on both ends. Guys who can score and take pride in playing D. Nobody does that nowadays.
No, Jordan said he didn't do that. He didn't shoot those threes. He goes, it's a low percentage shot. Why would I do that? It doesn't make sense. He was good at it, but he wasn't as good as Steph Curry.
Check out our guy Robert. That's called fuck around and find out. That's his mother's motto. I love it. So your mother sees at the top of the list, baby.
Robert is a Steeler fan, right?
No, he's new to us. He lives in Everett, Washington.
Oh, I thought that was the guy from. Okay.
No, I don't know how he found us, but I'm glad he did. I love him chiming in. He's got good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, talent travels. That's why he found us. Talent travels.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. I told Smitty 7:30, and it's 7:30, and Smitty's already here. He's all amped up on Iron City. Who knows what the hell he's been doing? He probably just finished up a Permani sandwich.
Let's do it.
Let's get Smitty in here. Smitty, how you doing?
He got the stone.
I don't know.
Piston.
I don't know if this is Iron City.
Yeah, well, you got it in the bottle. It's all right.
You should be
pumped. Hey, by the way, I had to make sure my display name was my nickname before joining because I was watching before I joined and I saw you guys have the whole nickname thing going on, so I didn't want to be left out. Yeah,
that's good. Smitty runs the city.
Smitty runs the city.
Smitty, my
I
guy.
like that. Honestly, nobody has ever said that, so I'm gonna start spreading that around and see if I can catch fire.
Well, but and here's the thing: don't forget what game, Smitty. When we met up for the Steelers and Lions, was that Steelers and Lions?
Oh, and wow. Yeah, what a game that was.
He did. You said a dream. Smitty runs the city. Took me to 3 different tailgate party, whatever type thing throughout the parking lot. Introduces me to Arthur Moach. He's like, Moach is my guy, that or whatever. So you said it being facetious, but seriously, Smitty, yeah. And it's crazy because right now I'm seeing Zachary, but until I read it, I forget his first name because all I refer to him is Smitty.
So I got to call him Smitty.
That's it.
No, everybody calls him Smitty. I grew up with a lot of Zachs. There's like 5 in my friend group. So, like, we all either go by our last name my last name is Smith, so that's where Smitty comes from. Everybody has the nickname.
There's another one, but it's kind of, I don't know if you want to use it now, Z Smitty.
See, that was my very first Twitter handle, Z Smitty 23.
Smitty run the city. Show no pity.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Hey, I want you to drop in on George Pickens next time you're at the facility. Hey, GP. I'm Smitty that runs a city. You got an answer for this?
I don't listen. I like we're very early in this, and I like all you guys. But Dreamweaver here is right now pole position, much like Russell Wilson on the Steelers quarterback depth chart.
He's good with pole position. You can leave it at that.
I'm running with Mike T on this. I'm thinking JF. Jay Fields.
We can get into it, but okay.
Get it.
Well, we're ready to get into it. You ain't saying nothing but a word.
Hey, look. Robert hit you with that right there. When you go out drinking, do you chant Smitty about to get shitty?
I don't want to ruin the vibes on here, but I actually quit drinking last April. So I'm at like
nice.
So did I.
14 months without a sip of alcohol.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
I rarely drink, to be honest with you. However,
when I do, I get blitzed.
I was in Louisiana. I'm in Louisiana last week, my cousin's house, right? Cousins.
Right.
We went out, we hung out, did the family thing. We had taken showers. We were about to go to bed.
You didn't do it together.
He was like, yo, Chops, I'd forgotten, man, we'll crack this maybe tomorrow. The Blackberry Crown. I was like, I've been hearing about it, but I haven't tried. I haven't heard about it. He said, man, you mix it with this, that, or whatever. He said, just try a shot. It's quarter to 11 in Louisiana. So it's 11:45 here. Ready to go to bed. I'm like, fuck. So having said that, he gives me a shot. One turns into more. We finished a bottle and a half in about an hour and a half. About an hour. When I tell you drunk as Cooter Brown, that was on a Friday night. When I tell you Saturday, we didn't eat, we didn't move, we didn't do nothing. He had one couch, I had the other. Shut it down.
Robert, can you flash that number up if you have a drinking problem? Put that number up on the screen.
My old gut can't handle it. I'm done. I'm done.
We can get in the ball in a second, but that story reminds me. So the bar that I used to frequent and actually also work at, Crown Vanilla and Coke is literally called a Smitty there because I drank it that much.
That was your drink.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you hang out,
you're
Smitty?
putting in work when they name a
start mixing
drink
it
after
with
you.
that fruity flavor stuff. Oof, that's violent.
Yeah.
Oh man, Smitty used to get it up. And yeah, when they name a drink after you, yeah, buddy.
See, Robert got it together here. He said, "I'm done drinking." He just hits it. Maybe a gummy on occasion.
Partake in the Garden of Whedon.
Smitty, where'd you hang out? Where do you live in the city?
So I'm not actually directly in the city. I'm about 30 minutes outside of it. Beaver County, Monaca specifically.
Monaca.
So,
You live in Monaca?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My cousin lives.
Yeah. Where'd you go high school at?
So Monaca, and then became Central Valley when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
So like Jordan Whitehead, who's in the NFL, he was 2 years
Yeah.
after me. I graduated with Robert Foster, who had a little bit of time in the NFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was my graduating class. My mom actually used to drive him to school. So we had
Robert
this really
Foster?
good relationship. Yeah.
He was,
All right,
wasn't
get
he
his ass on this show. Let's go.
Wasn't he the number one player that year? He was the number one player that year, I believe.
In PA, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Interesting. All right, Chops. Let's get this thing rolling with Smitty.
Man, okay, man, we got a lot of stuff to get going on. So let's start like with the new additions, right? So now we got your boy Arthur Smith, right? Arthur Smith. What in OTAs, mini camps so far, what you've seen, does Russ have a grasp on it? Are you forget about Russ? How are you feeling about the offense? Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? So far, what you've seen with Arthur Smith?
It's a lot different. I will say that I think there's a lot more detail into what I've seen the last couple of years. There's a lot of intricacies. Some of the players have even described it as basically trying to learn a new language with the installs that they're going through, which is a good thing, and it's going to be a good thing in time. Obviously, right now it's more difficult for them because they're not used to this. But this is part of the process, obviously, learning here. We've seen a lot of motion in the past with Matt Canada, but it's like not with purpose. I think there's a lot more purpose in the motion that's used now. Like what I'm talking about last year, like they would, split out Jalen or Najee out wide just to motion them back into the backfield. Like you're not really doing anything. You're not creating any, eye candy or window dressing by doing that. You're not confusing anybody. You're just ultimately doing it for no purpose. So I think that there's a lot more intention behind what they're doing this year on offense. I think he's going to bring in a lot of different concepts that we haven't seen while also keeping what they're really good at last year. Like we saw them the last couple seasons really get things going on the ground as the season went on, running a lot of duo, inside trap, inside zone stuff. And I don't think they're going to go away from that. I think he's going to lean on Pat Meyer and Eddie Faulkner, two of the coaches that were retained from the offensive side, to be able to continue to implement them while also bringing the stuff that he was really good at in Tennessee and Atlanta.
Cool. That'll be interesting. I noticed he loaded up that tight end room, and they keep loading that tight end room up.
They're gonna keep 4 on the roster. Like I think that they're gonna go 5 receivers, 4 tight ends. I'm sure of it. It's gonna be interesting competition at the bottom of the roster because of some of the guys that they've brought in. But and I expect Pat to basically be used as a receiver a lot of the times too. Like I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, even 13 personnel. Michael Pruitt's been doing a lot of fullback stuff for them. So I think, we're going to see 4 tight ends make the roster, and people are probably going to be like scratching their heads, but they're going to get helmets. They're going to contribute on special teams, and they're going to find ways to utilize all of them.
A tight end is really a linebacker on the offensive side of the ball, like a fullback. That's really what he is.
Yeah,
double tight,
absolutely.
Toke the rock. They just get back to the running game. That'd be exciting. But before we get to the running game, were you at the Zach Brown concert with Russell Wilson?
I was not there. I've seen the clips and stuff like that.
He's the mayor. He's shaking babies and patting hands.
He was at Kennywood today. He had his kid at Kennywood today.
Oh,
yeah, he's been he's going on a full tour of Pittsburgh. I think he's done everything. I think he's part of the welcoming committee at this point.
You weren't even born yet with the laser loop. That was the best ride there, laser loop.
Oh, that thing was unbelievable.
Man, did you get a chance to ride the log jammer before they took that John out?
I was on the log jammer. Yes.
Okay.
I actually know somebody that has one of the log jammer things. Like they bought one of them from Kennywood when they shut the ride down.
Yeah, they have it over there like it's nostalgic. Like, look at that, kids. Remember? Oh, no, you were too young. That's right.
Wasn't that special drink at the Pegasus, the log jammer?
No, that's when you went to the bathroom at the O. Hey.
Come on, man. Questions, y'all. Questions.
Is Russ running the show? Is he QB1 material right now? Has he got a grasp of this offense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of hard right now until we get into, I would say, training camp. I mean, through OTAs, mandatory camp and stuff like that, you can say who's the pecking order and stuff right now, but in terms of like fully running the ship, and there's also, stuff that we're not allowed to necessarily talk about unless we can get it confirmed by the player directly. But for example, like in 7 shots, he's always the first one to go. He's been QB1 through everything that they've done. I expect him to start training camp that way. And the guys are rallying around him. They all seem to like him. We'll see as the season goes on if that's able to continue. But I think that there's definitely buy-in right now from everybody with him.
So our guest, who's been really active in the chat, he's been great, funny, all the above. But he thinks that Russ is going to struggle in Pittsburgh with the tight end. He thinks Russ's size is going to be a factor. Yeah,
I mean, historically, when you look at it, he has not targeted the middle of the field. Historically, with the Steelers over the last few seasons, you could say that that's been a trend for the team as well. Arthur Smith, though, likes to throw to the middle of the field. A lot of stuff between the numbers. And they have a really good pass-catching tight end in Pat Freiermuth. Roman Wilson, 70% of his college production came between the numbers. So something's got to give here. Somebody's going to have to give. And I think it's going to have to be Russ targeted in the middle of the field more than he has historically. And, you could say that that's obviously been a product, his size maybe playing into that. But he also really likes to move around. Very rarely does he actually stand pat when he drops back. He'll move to his left. He'll move to his right. Takes a lot of sacks that way as well. Him and Justin Fields, coincidentally enough, first and second in sacks over the last 2 seasons, bottom 2. That's not a good thing when I say first and second. So, I think that he's going to have to get out on the move. And something's got to give with the middle of the field usage. I think it's going to be in a positive way for the Steelers in terms of its utilization.
But I think you're right in 1 and 2 sacks. However, we know Fields, he was with a horrible team. Nobody could get open. He's taking, he didn't want to run all the time. And Russ, the Broncos were just terrible from the ticket taker to starting O-line, D-line. They were just terrible everywhere.
Yeah.
Around. But I do think now you're not going to be able to put guys in the box because with the tight end being able to stretch your field, you've got receivers. I think Russ is going to do well, and he can move. He just doesn't a whole lot. You know what I mean? So I think if he needs to slide right or left, he's capable of doing that. And I think this is going to be the best Russ we're going to get basically since his Super Bowl days because he knows if he's not well, Fields is getting that. Fields is getting – how does he look with Fields? Is he getting a grasp on that offense from what you've seen? I know it's early.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great relationship, those two, by the way. Like when you see, Kyle Allen or John Reese Plumlee, who they've given some reps, when they're out taking their reps, like those two are just always talking. And I assume that it's that way when they're away from the building as well. I mean, everything seems to indicate that they have a great relationship, obviously a competitive one. They both want to be the starting quarterback for this football team. But Justin right now, like it's funny because you look at them and just like so physically imposing. Like very rarely do you see quarterbacks that are built the way that Justin is, especially like in his lower half, like his thighs, very, some of this conversation, by the way, could be taken out of context. Yeah. Very impressive looking dude. I'll leave it at that. Is Justin Fields. So I think right now is kind of his time to shine when you're talking about football in shorts, because he's just the more athletically imposing player.
Yeah.
But once we get to training camp and stuff like that, and you're actually seeing the way that these guys are reading defenses and going through team drills, and this stuff can all be reported on actually, and not just hearsay, you're going to see Russ, I think, really start to take hold.
Hey, how's the new tackle look?
Troy Fautanu. Yeah, they've used him mainly at right. He's getting some reps over on the left side, but I think that kind of coincides with, them wanting to get Broderick back on the left side, as Omar said, is eventually going to happen. I think he's a 5-spot guy, though, if he needs to be. Like, definitely try him out at tackle. Obviously, there's so much more value if he's able to play tackle there than if you're talking about a guard or even at center for some reason, if they were to have to try that. But, I think he's going to be the right tackle for this football team from day one. I just think he's so much further along in terms of his pass pro than a guy like Broderick coming in last year, who was kind of an experience in terms of his college reps and stuff like that. That's not the case with Troy. He's an older prospect. He had a ton of starts at Washington, position versatility, really good footwork, great athlete in space. I thought he was a glove-like fit for Arthur Smith's offense. Between him and Talise Fuanga, I thought that those two made the most sense for them. And it was Fatanu that fell. So I think that they're very pleased with the way that he's progressing. Pat Meyer kind of preaches a lot, with the quick hands, the pass sets and stuff like that. I think it was just a really good marriage for them. I know that there were some knee concerns potentially why he fell to 20. I have not seen any reason for that to be the case. I have no clue where that popped up from, but he looks really good. And again, you're talking about guys that right now in OTAs are basically playing patty cake with the defensive line in their drills.
Right.
But he's everything that they want him to be at this point.
Hey, Roman Wilson, is he going to slot in as number 2? Is there less of a sense of urgency in that team right now from what you feel and see? Or are they going to really shop for somebody and put something out there to get somebody in? I think you bring in a guy like Ayuk, he's going to want $30 million, especially after Justin Jefferson got paid a king's ransom. They just backed the Brinks truck up to his house. And Ayuk's going to want money. There's no question about it. What's your sense of what's going on there?
They're certainly still shopping. I mean, they've been on a wide receiver hunt since March. They put an offer on the table to Tyler Boyd that was probably a low ball slap in the face offer, from everything that I've gathered. And they wanted to bring in Mike Williams for a visit. He didn't get out of New York. As soon as he got in that building, he signed a deal. Other than that, it's been quiet on the free agent market pretty much. Other than interest that I put out there in Michael Thomas. They reached out to him, and how far those conversations got, I don't know. Will they circle back if they don't make a trade? Potentially, but I really think that they're keying in on somebody on the trade market. Who that is, I don't see it being Brandon Ayuk for the reason you just mentioned. Not only would it mean giving up trade capital, but also $30 million per season. That would obviously mean you don't have a long-term future of George Pickens. You'd be really building the pass game around Brandon Ayuk and seeing how many more years you can get out of George Pickens before you're kind of in the same boat with him, where he's looking for a contract. Maybe he gets disgruntled. He's looking for a move. I will say he's probably the one guy to me that I think blocks that. I think the talk surrounding him has kind of cooled down. Maybe it heats back up because they still haven't met his contract demands. I still think Cortland Sutton makes a ton of sense for this team. He only has $2 million guaranteed right now from Denver, and that's really where he's disgruntled right now. Reportedly, I have a friend that actually covers the team. He's apparently looking for, a 2-year deal, $15 million per. I think that is more than doable for the Steelers. And again, that one doesn't block a potential future of George Pickens getting a long-term contract here in Pittsburgh should it shake out that way.
And what's Sutton, 26? Am I right? Sutton, 26?
Ooh, good question.
Did you say $15 million a year or $15 million for two?
15 to 16 million per. So 2 years, 32 million would be the max.
Gotcha.
And it's more about the guaranteed money on those, right? I mean, the Steelers, how they structure, they really do not like to go above that 35% guaranteed threshold very often. And I don't know what Cortland is looking for. I know he's looking for more than 2 million guaranteed in 2024.
Cortland's
he's
28 years old. Yeah, he's 28.
He's 28.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're not drafting one next year too. So if they ink him, if they get him in, ink him to a 2-year deal, that's some security there. You can sign Pickens and bring in another young buck, and then you've got Roman Wilson too, who's most likely going to develop for them. Like a Hines Ward. Chops did the questions this week, and I could see it. I see that in that kid.
Yeah, I was just saying, you asked about Roman Wilson. I forgot to touch on him at all. But, again, receiver probably is the one position, along with cornerbacks, when they do, their head-to-heads, that you actually do get a pretty decent look at OTAs. I think Roman looks the part in terms of athletically. We can look at the 4.3 speed and see that he's a speedster. But to me, what grabs my eyes more than anything else is he doesn't decelerate in and out of it's full speed all the time. How quickly he shifts more than anything else is what grabs my eyes. Yeah, I mean, he fits the bill, I think, for them in terms of a slot receiver, but they're still looking for another guy on the outside to go along with George, in my opinion.
None of them speed guys you don't think can step up with the speed at all? Jeez, these guys are fast.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They brought in a lot of guys to me that kind of challenge Calvin Austin to step up, and I will say he has. honestly, if you were asking me right now who in this receiver room has stepped up and maybe put themselves in a position, if they don't go out and get somebody to be the number 2 guy, Calvin Austin, who I think has been better than Roman Wilson through OTAs.
So Robert here thinks that working with Russ in Denver left a bad taste in Sutton's mouth, and there's no way he's going to want to touch Pittsburgh.
I mean, what's funny is like it sounds so stupid, right? But like, what do we really have to go based off of this other than this? What I'm about to bring up. All I'll say is they still follow each other on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what that relationship is like. I've also seen like them share stories that they're tagged and everything. It seems similar to me with like a DK Metcalf thing. Where it is a receiver that he played with in the past. There's a lot of mutual respect there. I don't think that Cortland Sutton would be upset about coming to Pittsburgh to reunite with Russ.
Yeah. I feel I'm putting it on wax. I want to put it out there. I think Wilson is going to be nice. I do, Roman. And here's why: because he is a great route runner. They can no longer play bump and run. Everybody's always wide open. Fellas, I always say that, but I think he'll be. I think he'll be a nice slot guy, whatever have you, and with all the other weapons, we don't need like San Fran. We talked about Ayuk. San Fran has Debo on one side, Ayuk, both real nice guys. I don't know if we really need a big money guy. And like you said, Sutton not would be a big money guy, but I just think with the offensive weapons, the tight ends coming to play, the quarterbacks, I know I'm a homer, but man, I'm excited about this offense this year, man. I really am.
It's a different offense and it's different players.
I'm ready.
It's a different play caller. That's I think what's exciting about it. Is they got someone outside the system to bring some freshness to it.
The way I feel is that if anybody can pull quality out of Russ, it's going to be Tomlin. Okay, if Russ has anything left, and I get what Robert's coming from, I do. I understand him 100% here. But if anybody can pull anything out of a guy, it's going to be Tomlin. And he just knows how to deal with these guys. But I will tell you, if Russ is not performing in camp, he's not going to automatically hand him that starting role. He's just not going to. That's a proven fact. Look how quick they were to send Kenny Pickett packing.
Yeah. Phyllis, I just think 26-8 last year, 2016 for a team that didn't want him. I still think Russ can play, man. I really do. And a running back is a quarterback's best friend. He's a running game. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, last year he was 18th, finished 18th in EPA per play among quarterbacks. So, about middle of the road there. But where he really shined was in the red zone. Still top 5 pretty much across the board in his metrics in the red zone. He's still number 5 quarterback in all of football in terms of his play action passer rating as well, in which Arthur Smith wants to use that a lot. And I think with the run game that we're going to have, that is something that they should be able to play off of. That's why I said, like, as soon as they signed Russell Wilson, and this was before the Deontay trade, George Pickens to me was the big winner. The moon balls that he's going to throw up to him, Russ is still a really good deep ball thrower if he's anything. So I just think like the play action shots that they're going to take, 2 big winners so far for the way that the Steelers have gone about this offseason are George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth.
Is Freiermuth going to get signed before we start the season?
Can you say?
I believe so.
I think $11 million is what I read.
Yeah, you're probably looking at something like in the Cole Kmet range, same agent as well. And honestly, I think that they could probably, because I think he's going to blow up in this offense. I really do, guys. So, like, I think that you are kind of maybe taking a little bit of a risk, but I think that the reward is worth it when you're talking about signing him now as opposed to seeing what he looks like in the offense. Because I think his number is only going to go up after you give him a year in this offense as the number 2 target, kind of taking on that Kyle Pitts role.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's real interesting. Hey, Peyton Wilson, another guy who came in, supposedly had knee issues. We know he had knee issues, but he's been a performer in college. Talk about him a little bit and what he's done in camp, what you've seen in shorts. How about that?
Yeah, obviously
away from his thighs, please.
The athleticism pops. And he's such a unique guy. 6'4", 4'3", the way that he's built. You just don't see guys like that all the time. He was one of my favorite prospects coming into this thing. People talk about the injury history, but I think you got to add the caveat that they haven't been over the last 2 seasons. He's played 11 plus games each of the last 2 seasons. So you're going back to like his sophomore year since he really had a injury that hampered him in a big way. Obviously missing one ACL, but he doesn't move like it. And they put a ton of trust in him from day one at rookie camp, gave him the quote unquote green dot, if you will. They really don't do that in rookie camp, but he was the one kind of calling the shots for the defense at rookie camp, even though there were some more experienced players there, because even though it's rookie camp, they bring in veterans for tryouts and stuff like that. So, right away, kind of putting a lot of trust in him. His role is kind of up in the air though this year, right? Like we're kind of still waiting on to see where Cole Holcomb is going to be at. They've been pretty mum on that situation, but he's going to have a role for sure on special teams. And when I look at what he's able to do, what his strengths are, and looking at this division, I look at him as a guy that could definitely contribute against the AFC North. When you look at the way that he can play as a slot defender, when teams line up Mark Andrews in the slot, when they line up David Njoku, like playing in the North, where these teams like to put their tight end in the slot, to me, he's a guy that can cover these guys in space and contribute for sure against the AFC North opponents.
Has he got the size to do that? I know he's got the hands to get on him and run with them, but does he got the size?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. 6'4", 235. Like, I think he's putting on more too. I mean, he looks every bit of 235, if not more. So I'm curious to see what he ends up being listed at when the season starts. But yeah, I think so. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to have maybe a bigger role than people think for a rookie that, again, people have the injury questions about. But a lot of this, like I said, could depend on, are they going to have Cole Holcomb available from the jump?
Hey, Smitty, sticking on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned about Freiermuth getting his contract settled. Mm-hmm. I think Hayward just reported today.
He was there today, yeah.
He skipped out OTAs, but came today. Is that going to happen? What's going to go on with him?
If I was on this show 2 weeks ago, I would have said 100% certainty that he gets an extension. I still think so, but like him talking about still feeling like he's a top 5 player at his position. Then you look at the top 5 contracts at the position, you're talking 24+ million. Like if he's trying to align where he thinks he is in terms of a payday as well, I think it's going to be a little bit more contentious than I would have thought from the jump. Like I said, I would have thought this was a slam dunk. Now I'm a little bit like, I'm still optimistic something gets done, but I can't say with 100% certainty that I believe that, because I don't know where the holdup is. I just thought, this is going to be pretty shut and dry. They'll give him more guaranteed money, maybe look at in the range of like 16 mil per. Obviously the guarantees are going to be the sticking point. But I would have thought it was going to be done by now, honestly, if you asked me 2 weeks ago.
He's been pretty solid. His numbers are consistent. Yes, he's injury prone. He's older. He's up there in age. You got a lot of factors to consider, but I think he's, better on the team than off. They've got to get it done.
Well, here's the thing with the injuries too, right? Like he tore his pec in 2016 against Dallas, missed the rest of that season. And then the groin injury last year. That's it, though. You're talking about 2 major injuries, obviously, in a 35-year-old. But it's not like year in, year out, you're talking about a guy that's always missing games. So, if he's able to come back next year, that's completely healthy, and he plays like 2022, I don't think there's a question about it. Everybody would be fine with it. But you're talking about a player that presumably, because of his age, certainly isn't going to get better. You hope he at least stays the same. But most likely he's going to be on the decline now of his career.
22, he made that flag football all-pro game. Yeah.
Do you think he's top 5 at his position?
No, I don't think so anymore.
Top 10?
I would give him top 10. Top 10. Yeah.
Top 10. I mean, he's still really good as a run. Actually, his run defense numbers last year were better than the previous 2. And again, he was all pro in 2022. So as a run defender was still there on a per snap basis last year, but the pass rush juice was gone. And you just wonder, was that all the groin? Is it going to come back in 2024? And now is that fully healed? Is it ever going to be fully healed to be able to get back to that level? I don't know. It's really a tricky situation. And I think we're going to find out how different Omar Khan is from the previous regime through a negotiation like this.
Hey, Smitty, with Watt, Hayward, Queen, and Minka, those are all pros at all those levels. Do you think the defense this year will be top 5?
Ooh, and I think you can add in. I know he didn't make an All-Pro, and I know that we're talking about a second-year player, but Joey Porter Jr. too. Yeah, corner. You're talking about dudes at every level. Yes. Right in that range, I would say 5 to 7. I think that they'll be there. The one question that I kind of have, right, is the other side of Joey. So, your secondary is obviously going to be its best when you have the pass rush. They got to support each other. Like if you don't have a very good secondary, they can kind of be masked by a really good pass rush, which we've seen the Steelers have when healthy over the last few seasons for sure. And kind of on the other side of that, if they had a really strong secondary, maybe you don't need as good of a pass rush. I think the one thing that we're kind of, and well, not we, but a lot of the fan base is kind of overlooking in terms of Patrick Queen's addition isn't just himself and what he's going to do for the linebacker room, but the third level too. Like we've been talking about wanting to get Minkah back to his playmaking self. Patrick Queen's to be able to do a lot of those sideline to sideline things in the box that they were asking Minkah to do last year, and let Minkah be free, let him be the robber, let him play too high, and just do a lot of things that he wasn't able to do last year just due to other players' availability. So yeah, I do look at this defense as one right now where I'd say on paper, if you ask me, I think they're going to be a top 5 to 7 defense. That's
a great point. Supporting that third level where they are focused more on that run and having to cover the gaps and figure out, because they were getting beat the first and second.
So we're going to see more of the 1996 Tampa 2. Is that what you're saying?
I think you're going to see a lot of it. And I think that, we talk about the slot corner position a lot and how they haven't addressed that in a big way.
Barber's not a fan.
I think that with slot though, I think you could see, and they wanted to do the last couple years, but they haven't been able to player availability. You're going to see a lot of 3 safety looks. I mean, they bring in Deshaun Elliott, DeMonte KZ's obviously still on the team. DeMonte KZ's best ball as a Steeler was in 2022 when he came back from his broken arm in like week 9 against the Saints or whatever. And Terrell Edmonds was still on the team, and they were able to play all 3 of them at the same time. Yeah. So I think with bringing in Deshaun Elliott to kind of take over that Terrell Edmonds role, they're hopeful that they can get back to a lot of 3 safety looks, maybe play Deshaun in the slot a little bit if you don't really have like a true slot option, which right now on the roster, I mean, UDFA Beanie Bishop might be the number 1 guy in that spot. So we'll talk about him a little bit later, but I really do believe that they want to do a lot of like big nickel stuff and use all 3 safeties.
Hey, here's a little secret for you, Smitty. Rasheen is the biggest Terrell Edmonds fan that you'll ever meet.
He has like his home and away jersey for each team he's been on. Loves Edmonds.
I'm guessing that's satire.
Oh, it can't be.
Yes, correct. He's
he would rather see Pharaoh Edmonds out there playing safety than Terrell.
His dad. Yes, he's bad.
Let me ask you this though: if Terrell was taken in like the 3rd round, would you have felt the same way?
No.
So Dream's hard. He's rough on a cat.
Come on, Chops. Listen, if Edmonds is in the game, I just posted on Facebook. Someone said this, and I said if Edmonds is in the game, quarterbacks. If you're reading this, that's where you throw. I know they ain't reading my Facebook, but listen, quarterbacks, if you're reading my Facebook, that's where you go.
I think they know, and that's back to Smitty's point, that why we need someone for JPG Jr. whatever, because they expose that right quick, and they'll figure out the weakness.
I mean, Dante Jackson was brought in via the Deontay Johnson trade, obviously. I think he's, a borderline CB2. I'd feel a lot better if they had somebody else there and he was more of like the CB3 type. But a really good athlete. The speed wasn't lost despite his lower body injuries that he's suffered over the last few years. But I have a question about his durability. Availability is going to be a big question for him when you look at how many games he's missed over the last 3 seasons. And then behind him, it's a bunch of lottery tickets. What is Corey Trice? What is Darius Rush? Who I really like those guys, but hopefully one of those guys is able to stand out. Darius Rush is very intriguing to me. I look at what he did in the Thursday night game last year against Tennessee and everything that they asked him to do on very short notice, playing in the dime, playing safety, like things that he really hadn't done at the NFL level, obviously. And I do think that there's a good player in there, which is why I can understand why they didn't want to block these guys either by bringing in, a big name corner or investing a high pick in them and letting them kind of figure it out. But at the same time, you got to be a little bit uneasy until one of them really does carve out a role.
That's up to the quarterback coach to develop them.
Well, like I said, we know it's early. I'm sorry, Barbara. Go ahead, do what you say.
No, I was going to say it's always a sad thing to watch that secondary be undeveloped.
Yeah,
it's year after year, and Tomlin fathoms himself as a defensive guy, secondary especially. Well, bring in a guy to coach the damn secondary.
And they did lose a really good coach in Gerald Alexander, who was an assistant DB coach for them last year, and everybody really liked. And he went to they lost him to the Raiders. So be curious to see what that transition's like. But I think that the group is where they expected it to be. It wouldn't surprise me if they added another body there at some point throughout this process too. The post June 1 free agency, or if we get through camp and somebody surprising gets cut, as we know is going to happen every single year. That's like, along with receiver, I would say that's the other spot to look at.
Did they bring an alum back to help coach the secondary?
Who's that?
The Steelers. Did they bring someone back to help coach the secondary who used to play for them? Was that last year or the year before? Was it Perry? No, that wasn't Perry. I forget. I thought there was someone that they brought back.
Well, again, still early. Schedule's out. Steelers second half, last 6-7 weeks? Gauntlet. Right now, though, what do you think in their schedule can be? What record are you looking at them to have?
Steelers 17-game schedule. I'm pretty much always going to say 10-7. Like until I'm proven otherwise, like 10-7, 9-8, they're always going to be there. But I'll say 10-7 this year. I think that they can be a better football team than last year, and I think that they're going to be. But I'm not so sure it's going to necessarily reflect on the schedule in the same way because of their schedule that they have. Obviously, you would think Cincinnati didn't. A lot of these things could change. Obviously, Cincinnati getting Joe Burrow back. They got KC coming here on Christmas. A brand new offense. So you kind of wonder how they're going to get going out of the gate. That's why I know a lot of people have complained about the way that the schedule is with all those divisional games on the back end and how tough it is on the back end. I'm the opposite. I like it for that reason, because I think that the offense potentially going to get out of the gate slow, and that gives them time to gel, especially with that young offensive line with all the new pieces before you go into the bye. And then post bye, you got Washington, and then you got the entire division and KC. So I almost like the way that it's structured for them to get out of the gate, Atlanta, Denver, LA, and then the gauntlet on the back end, when theoretically you should have kind of the pieces in place and everybody on same.
You know what you're doing. I got it.
I like that. That's a good point. But don't you think the other teams are going to have the same effect?
Sure. But I think for me, I'm just looking at it from a Steelers perspective. And when you got a new offensive coordinator, 3 new pieces, because I'm considering this a second rookie year for Broderick going back to the left side. So if you're talking about him going back to the left side now for basically a second rookie season, Zach Frazier, Troy Fautanu, 3 new pieces essentially on the offensive line. A new receiver in Roman Wilson, who's going to have a prominent role, whether or not they bring in another receiver, he's still going to have a prominent role. A new quarterback in the system. Like, there's so many moving pieces for the Steelers offense that I kind of just expect them to get out of the gate slow. So again, that's why if you're going to have a gauntlet like they do, prefer it in the second half as opposed to the first half.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they keep a lot of people healthy, that's going to be the key going into that second run there. That 3 games in 10 weeks and in 10 days, they're going to need to have a good rotation, not only at the running back spot. And I like the kid from Georgia, by the way. He's going to get carries. I think they're going to have a good rotation there. I think you'll see a nice rotation between those tight ends and those receivers at that point. They'll have settled in with one quarterback or the other. I do think they need to find out if Russ is the guy starting under center. I think they've got to find a role for Justin Fields in some way, shape, or form. They've got to find a way to get him on the field.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have packages for him. I go back to when Arthur was in Tennessee and had Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota on the roster, and they had certain packages where Mariota would come in, whether it was quarterback design runs or to throw them off. You obviously don't want that to be a tell. Like, hey, if Justin's on the field, it's an obvious run. Like, you want him to be able to throw out of those plays too. But yeah, I think that they're going to have certain packages for him. I think if you're talking about like an obvious, like a QB sneak, I think it would be Justin as opposed to Russell. I think they're going to have certain stuff where they get him on the field for sure.
They could probably run some. Go ahead, Sis.
We've been hearing this about him returning punts and kicks and stuff. Is there any truth to this crap?
Nah, Danny Smith made a joke just because he's such a good athlete. I mean, if they lined everybody up right now and had him run 40s, he would be the fastest player on the team. That's because
he had 4 packs of bubble gum in his mouth. No one knew what he was saying.
So Danny Smith makes a joke, and Jalen Warren brings up said joke on Cam Hayward's podcast, and everybody runs with it, thinking it was like a legit thing that they were having Justin return kicks. No, that was never never in the cards.
Hey, what games this year are you looking forward to seeing, and why?
I have season tickets, so I'll be at all of them. So I'm looking forward to all of them. But
Go ahead, Smitty. Smitty
no, I mean the Cowboys, right? I mean they only come here every 8 years. Just the storylines between the two teams. I'm a big CeeDee Lamb guy.
They only come out every 8 years.
Absolutely. I think I might prefer the Cicadas, to be honest with you, over the Cowboys. Big Justin Herbert guy, so I look forward to them coming here as well. Can't wait to see that arm live. I'll probably go on the road for one, so I'm looking forward to being in Indy. Indy's a really cool city. Steelers travel well, obviously everywhere, but specifically in Indianapolis, I know there will be a good turnout as well.
Now, are you going to these games, Smitty? Are you going as a fan? You going to work?
I'm going as a fan. I'm going as a fan.
Okay.
That's non-negotiable for me. I've had my season tickets. I'm going as a fan.
Okay.
Smitty, I'm trying to round my guys up here. I got a couple going. We want to get into town for that Ravens game in November, the 17th. And the day before Pitt plays Clemson, or I got a connection. A buddy of mine coaches over at Duquesne, Darnell Robinson. I could probably get some free tickets to that. I might have to go check out Duquesne instead with some free tickets, unless Pitt shows me something in advance.
That sounds like a weekend. Steelers Ravens is always a good time. Every single year they obviously bring the best out of each other, no matter whether it's Lamar having his receivers drop 8 passes like it was last year with the Pickens late touchdown. The Mark Andrews with the Ravens going for 2 points as opposed to just tying it up at the end of the 2021 game. Like there's always something Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
I really think the Steelers
one score game. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I really think the Steelers are in Baltimore's head. I do. They play Lamar Jackson well. I think they get into the heads of that team. And they make their own mistakes when they lose to them.
It's always funny to me, like seeing the way that Steelers fans talk about Lamar Jackson as opposed to literally everybody else. And I get it because of how Lamar plays against the Steelers compared to everybody else. They have like this conception that this is just who he is versus everybody because of the way that the Steelers are able to defend him. It is weird. And it doesn't matter. Like it was going on when Keith Butler was the defensive coordinator. Now with Terrell Austin, it's a blueprint. It's got to be a Tomlin thing, I guess, because they definitely have the defense to go against him. And again, last year, maybe a bit more of luck than anything else. Like I said, his receivers dropped like 7-8 passes. Very weird game. But even minimizing his rushing ability as well, like they have in the past.
Go ahead, Sheen.
Yeah, Sheen.
It's my turn again?
Yeah,
man. Bring your question.
Keep dreaming.
I didn't have another question, but I can give you one. What are 2 or 3 other NFL games in general you're interested in seeing this year? Not going to, just seeing. Does Russ go back to Denver, or does Denver come here, or do we play Denver?
Russ goes
to Denver week 2. I want to see. I don't know if it's a game in particular. Let me look at their stats. Houston is a team that I'm super intrigued by this year. Like, do they continue to build off what they did last year? Or was it just a 1-year thing? I don't necessarily think so. I think they're going to continue to build. But they got the Bills. Chiefs. There we go. Houston at Kansas City, December 21st. So right before Christmas as well. That's definitely one of them. If I don't have a second team, I hate when people do that. But like if I had to pick a team, if the Steelers are out of it, like they were in the playoffs last year after they got eliminated, kind of bandwagon with Detroit. So I'll always root for Detroit and Houston play each other. There we go. There's another one. November 10th. And then whatever games are on Thanksgiving.
That's good. Okay.
You can't have Thanksgiving without football, even though they stink, typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game.
I just mentioned Detroit. I just mentioned Detroit, but for whatever reason, like whether they're good or bad, it doesn't matter. They look the same on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Campbell's got those boys playing. You got to give him that. Campbell got them Lions playing. Hell,
absolutely.
He as much as he had him playing, if he to me, he made a couple rookie coaches mistakes, even though he wasn't a rookie, like going for it over and over in Dallas, going for it over and over in San Fran. I think he might have been able to take those boys to the Super Bowl last year. Real quick though, man, it's Smitty, as you're looking at it, before we get up out of here, man, a couple more things. What undrafted rookies impressed you in OTAs, rookie mini camp? What any of those guys that we should look out for? Like Warren was my guy. That's my
Right.
dude.
Sure. Yeah, Beanie Bishop, I mean, is the easy answer for me there. Like, he also has the easiest path to making the 53 and carving out a prominent role just because of the work or lack thereof that they've done in the slot. What's weird, man, like 5'8", but he played on the outside at West Virginia, had 4 interceptions last year, always around the ball. And, you know, I know that people always try to make this comparison as Steelers fans, but the first question that he was asked when he got here was, who do you emulate your game after? Mike Hilton, former Pittsburgh Steelers, who he watched a lot of, just due to the size, the height weight combination, the way that he plays in the slot. I'll be honest, I think there's a bit more coverage upside with him than Hilton. I think Hilton, everybody really liked him for what he was able to do from the slot blitzes as a run defender, contributing there. Was never the best cover guy. I think that Beanie's got a little bit more in the tank in terms of his coverage ability. I don't think he should have been an undrafted guy. I had a 4th round grade on him. I thought he was going to go on day 3. So I think that the Steelers got a little bit of a steal there. They also promised him, if you don't get drafted, we're going to sign you as a UDFA, which is a pretty cool story. Obviously,
he the first guy?
Drafted. Yeah, he was a priority. Like, literally as soon as the draft ended, they had him pen to paper. He was coming to Pittsburgh to sign a deal. So the other one would be Edwards, the UDFA running back out of Georgia. I think he's got a shot too. Just when you talk about, you know, I know that they brought in Jonathan Ward, who's a veteran running back. I guess Cordero Patterson can be considered RB3, but don't know how much of a role he'll have in the offense. It's more about obviously the new kick return role, the reason they brought him in. But yeah, Edwards very productive at Georgia, obviously, and his looks good so far through OTAs. We'll see when they put the pads on what he's able to do. They've talked a lot about what they think he can do in pass pro for them, which is very important. If you're going to make this team as a 3rd running back or farther down the depth chart, it's going to be because of the work you can do in pass pro. So if he can hold up there, I think he's got a good shot to beat out Ward, potentially Patterson, to be the 3rd guy to get carries behind Warren and Najee.
I easily could see that. They really churn out some good running backs out of Georgia, and they've been doing that for years, going the whole way back to like Worley, who was a really good running back coming out of there. You know, he got hung up on other shit, but Worley was really good coming out of Georgia. Hey, I'm going to wrap it up with this question for you, Smitty. I know you probably got bigger and better things to do. If the Steelers don't make the playoffs this year with this roster that has been built over the last 2 years, does Mike Tomlin go on the hot seat?
I feel like this question gets asked like every year. Just from the fan base, he's been on the hot seat for half a decade at least now.
Yeah.
Internally, would he be on the hot seat?
They won the Super Bowl. He was on the hot seat. Yes, you're right.
Right. Yeah. Internally, I don't get that sense. Like, I think that the leash is so long with Mike Tomlin, and you know, I think that that's from ownership more than anything else. Like, people can talk about Omar Khan as the GM being the guy directly above Mike Tomlin. Really, Rooney's the boss, and I think that his relationship with Rooney, I think the leash is super long. I don't see it. Like, I don't even know. If you asked me what would have to happen this season for him to not return, I don't even know what that looks like.
0-17.
Yeah, like I really don't know. Like, now, if you ask me, like, on his own accord, is it possible? Potentially. You know, if he's like, do I really want to reset at the quarterback position again if it doesn't work with Justin or Russ? Do I really want to go through this? And on his own accord walks away. That to me is the more possible option than him being fired.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me ask. Okay, to piggyback off what Barber said, if let's say he doesn't get a playoff win, because making the playoffs he's been doing. What if they get to playoffs and get bounced again early? Because with a quarterback, you've got an established quarterback in Russ. Even if you bring in Fields, you have a hell of an athlete at quarterback. You've got a great running game. We're hype about the O-line. Well, I don't. If he don't get a playoff win, man, for the love of Jesus.
I think a lot of what we're talking about, though, man, like if I know that we're talking about the Steelers, if we were talking about any other team, I think a lot in the AFC, I think a lot of this could be said. Like, the AFC is ridiculous. Like, you're talking about 8 of the top 10 quarterbacks probably in the NFL being in the AFC, and one of those is not on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, you know, in a quarterback-driven league, and I'm saying, like, you can win with Russ, you could probably win with Justin. But in terms of going into the playoffs and winning a playoff game, getting yourself into like the final 4 of the conference, do the Steelers have that type of team? I don't know. I don't see it.
I think the one thing that people have to keep in mind they inherited, Mike Tomlin inherited Ben Roethlisberger in an early age. Ben Roethlisberger turned out to be, a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can say what you want about him, but he's got two guys here that are experienced. They're different styles, and he's not asking them to win games. He's asking them to manage games to win games. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I don't think
don't kill him. I mean, this goes back to 2019 when they lost Ben to injury. There's other guys in there. Yeah. He doesn't want the quarterback play to kill them.
I don't think he needs Russ to throw for 350 yards a game. Okay. I don't think he needs Justin Fields to rush for 1,000 yards a game. I think what he needs them to do is to make plays to win games and don't kill them, just like you said.
Yeah, I think that he wants them to play within the structure of the offense. I think getting an offensive coordinator like Arthur Smith, where it really takes so much emphasis off the quarterback. Like it's as quarterback friendly as a system as you could have.
I kind of disagree with you guys. I disagree. These guys are not game managers. They're playmakers. They're not going to go out there conservative. I don't think they're going to go out there and throw, balls out like constant. They're going to have a good mix of the offense, but they're definitely not game managers.
Well, I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and not do what they need to do. The play calling is not going to be conducive to them having to do stuff like Ben had to do as a quarterback, throw for 500 yards, and
like they're always behind.
Yeah, but here's the thing, real quick, is what I look at it. Even at his best, when Seattle went to the Super Bowl, when they were winning Super Bowls, it was that Legion of Boom defense, and you had beast mode as a running back. You still weren't asking him to come out and be Manning. You know what I mean? And now with that offense, if Purdy is young, has a great upside, but all he had to do with San Fran was just don't kill him. Don't throw INTs, make a play here, make a play there to keep sure our offense is on the field. And I think whether it's Russ or Fields, I think they can do that, man.
I like how you said that, Chops. I just don't think they're game managers, because I would put my money on, and I would put the game on their back if I needed to. That's how I feel. But I get what you're saying. Play within the confines of the game, within the structure of the offense and what they're tailoring it to. That sounds good. I like that, and I agree with that.
I just think when you look at the pass catching group as well, it kind of says we want to run the football. I don't want to say take the game out of the quarterback's hands, because I agree that they are guys that, in the stretch of a football game, they're going to put it in their hands and rely on them. But from between the 20s, I just feel like they're really going to put the stress of the defense with the run game, with the play action stuff, and feed off of that. I don't think that they want these guys playing hero ball.
Okay.
No.
One thing I find really interesting, Smitty, and we have a guest on here, Robert Wardell, excellent guest, by the way. He's given us a lot of feedback, a lot of input. He is a Seattle fan, and he very much doesn't like Russ. He was
anti-Russ.
It sounds like he was very glad he's gone. He thinks that Russ will be a bust in Pittsburgh like he was in Denver. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Smitty, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you just taking time out of your schedule. Tell me where we can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely. Every Monday through Friday, you could find me on Steelers Afternoon Drive with Pittsburgh Steelers Now. I host that with my good friend Alan Saunders, who also covers the Steelers on the beat. And then Around the 412 comes out we don't have a set day, so I don't know what to say there. The back end of the week, Wednesday through Friday, sometime in there. We record all 3 episodes the same day. We put them out in different order, just depending on what's in season and whatever's going on, whatever we figure the order needs to be. So you can find us at Around the 412, YouTube, whatever, Spotify, Apple, whatever platform you use there, or Steelers Afternoon Drive on any platform as well. You can find me everywhere, Zachary Smith PGH. I think that's all I got for you. Appreciate your guys' time.
We'll find you at the tailgate when we come up.
Hit me up when you guys are in town. I will make sure you guys have a good time.
We'll get you a
Definitely,
case of
Smitty. Maybe we could do a little pre-game tailgate podcast, because we did that at a Defenders game, and that was a lot of fun for us. So,
sounds good.
That'd be kind of fun.
Ears.
Take care, Smitty. Thanks again for joining us.
Smitty, appreciate it, my guy.
Thanks, guys. Yep, appreciate you.
Take it easy, Smith.
Fellas, that was a lot of great information about the Steelers.
A lot.
It's going to be Chops. I'm with you, man. I think it's going to be a pretty fun season for them. I know Robert's not real high on what Russ is going to bring to the table for us, but at this point, I believe I'm not 100% with what Tomlin does on the field during the game. He makes some stupid mistakes. He's been making them for 16, 17 years. But what I love about Mike Tomlin, and I mean this sincerely, he has a general connection with players. He won't bring a guy in or keep a guy around who he doesn't have a relationship with. You're right. But, and I think from that perspective, that's what's going to make the difference with a guy like Russell Wilson, with a guy like Justin Fields. And I look forward to seeing that unravel. And you know what? We could all be wrong, and they could both suck shit and move on after this year. It is what it is.
The bathroom at the O, just like
here's my thing, and you're right. It could. Chances, I doubt it, but it could. Here'd be my thing, right? Here'd be my thing. Think of every position. O-line would be the one you'd have a little bit of trouble saying. Quarterback position, experience. Running back room, experience. Pickens is young, but he's got experience in that wide receiver room. D-line experience. Linebacker experience. Secondary. Fellas, listen, you still have to play the games, and I know it might be a homer statement, but on paper and experience, what they've got, I'm excited about this season. I am. I really am. I
got to disagree with Smitty on the record. I'm going to go 11 or 12 wins. I'm going to be honest with you.
Honestly, I want to say 11 and 6.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say he said 10-7. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we were 10-7 with Pickett. We were 10-7 with Pickett.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think, and like you said, the reason I'm not, even when they're here, the reason I'm not going to the Steelers Falcons is because it's going to be the first week. I don't want to deal with a lot of drunk idiots, but they're not gelling. I don't think the offense will be gelling, so that's why I want to sit back at the house, big screen, cold beverage, whatever have you. But I am looking forward to them, and is on time. When I say on time, the timing, everything by that late half, that second half of the season, I'm looking for that offense to gel. You're right, T says. So does the defense, but the game is set up for the offense, and I think, I'm really hoping to see a real nice two-headed monster running back in Arthur Smith's offense. I'm hoping. I'm
telling you, it's going to be three-headed, guys. That kid from Georgia is going to give him something. I just have a funny feeling. Georgia running backs are.
I'll give you that. You're right.
They're productive.
And again, you're not going to ask him to be Lamar Jackson, but whether it's Fields or Russ, they can scramble to get you a few yards when they need it. I'm excited.
You know what's interesting about that comparison you just made there? And then we're going to have to get moving. I didn't realize we're almost an hour and a half into our show, fellas.
I know.
It's been so great. Hey, you know what's interesting? If you go look at those guys' numbers, their numbers are not that far apart.
No, they're not.
They're not that far apart. The difference is Lamar Jackson plays for a team that has a defense that can keep them around. And he had some running backs to take the burden off of himself.
Yes.
Justin Fields didn't have either of the above to check off on the checklist. And it'll be interesting to see how he plays in this system. I know a lot of people got unnerved at the fact they didn't, give Najee a fifth year. They didn't give Justin a fifth year. The Steelers have a plan in place. I don't know what it is. I don't. They have a plan in place. You mark my words, both of those guys will be back on this roster next year.
Oh, I'd love to see. And fellas, here's a great thing. I think
that's going to be expensive.
To me, Justin Fields can have a couple Super Bowls in his career. He, to me, is a younger Russ. He throws, he can run, he can do it all. When he's in, when Taysom Hill came in for Breeze, you knew he was running. You knew he wasn't going to pass. You can't assume that if Fields comes in. It could, because he can hit you, he can run it, but he's also going to be able to break you off with his arm. I'm excited. That playbook does not have to change regardless of what QB is in there.
I said that when we interviewed the one dude for ESPN, and I said, bring him in, run a couple packages like that, and he said, I don't foresee that happening. But now, what do you think?
Yeah, he even said it here. Hey, let's wrap this thing up. Greg Bishop, what's up, my man? Greg Bishop played some linebacker for me back in the day. Oh, chops and the little chops.
Listen, I just found your Facebook page, and I'm like, what, was you just doing curls? God damn, your muscles are big as hell.
And the crazy part is, it was only my left hand is messed up, so I could only do right hand curls, and that's what
like this though.
That's crazy. I mean,
Look how little Bobby is there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
how old were you?
I was 16.
God.
Hey, this weekend I was overworking my curls with my right hand too.
Right, Jason Philo's house.
Right, Bishop?
Wow, Jason Philo.
How about that?
Where's he live now?
I don't know. Up Pittsburgh.
Man, that was a blast. That was back in the Disney.
Hey,
Tough, can you make that Steeler weekend?
What's that, man?
Can you make that Steeler weekend if we do that?
What weekend is it? Which one?
November 16th and 17th.
That's before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah. I can probably. Fellas, here's the problem. Seriously, I worry about weather now. It's going to be under 50 degrees. Fellas, I know I was born and raised. I can't take the cold now.
Call me. Man.
Okay, he shaved his beard with a stone. He went camping. Slept with his cousin.
Camping or glamping.
Drank a bottle. Drank a bottle and a half of Crown.
The game. I told you me and Smitty the game me and Smitty hooked up when they played the Lions. The reason I chose the Lions, I wanted to go to the Ravens game, but the Ravens game was December. The Lions game was a week basically 10 days before Thanksgiving. I was like, the weather will be a little nicer then. That game, it was in the 30s in sleet. I didn't even stay the whole game. I was ready to leave at halftime. We stayed because
you got to drink 2 bottles of Crown. What the hell?
Yeah, we have that Crown there for you, Chops.
You gotta come prepared.
Crown in the gummy. My problem.
That Crown, dog. I'm not with it.
Man, that Crown tastes like Robitussin.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. It had me nice. I was right with it.
Hey, Robert said, "Get out the long johns, baby. Get out the long johns for the long ride." Chops, I'll be expecting you to make that since we can't do the fight now. The Tyson and what's it? Logan Paul, Jake Paul, one of them Paul dudes.
Yeah,
that gets off till who knows when.
RuPaul.
Yeah, next time we come together, fellas, is Monday night. We will have. We're going to get outside the box a little bit from what we usually talk about. We're going to talk about golf with director of golf at Callaway Clubs, and Sizzle put the show together for us. I'm real interested in hearing what he has to say about today's golfers, the clubs they use. Do they use different things on different courses? How do they swing them besides the practice? There's a lot that entails. It's not like me with my disc frisbee golf that I play. It's just get out there and just wing that some gun. So, hey, Chops, tell them where they can find you at, baby.
What about What about Sizzle's Quizzle?
Oh man, we're an hour and 25 into this, almost an hour and 30.
All right. I had a question and everything. I was ready.
Okay, go ahead. We'll do it.
You know I'm gonna get it. I'm smarter than Doogie Howser.
You want to go, Sizzle? You got one?
I got Sizzle's Quizzle right here, right now. Pittsburgh, just because we're talking about the black and gold, the 412, and everyone on the shows down with the Berg, thanks for supporting, representing, showing up, and commenting. The Steelers were originally called what? It's a softball for our fans here.
The
Were
Pirates.
The Steelers, huh?
They were originally called the Pirates, weren't they?
The Pittsburgh Pirates in 1933. The Chiefs said, we don't want to compete with the baseball team. So you know what he did? He ran a contest in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And Joe Santoni, he came up with the Steelers, and the Chief gave him season tickets. How about that?
For life?
What's the name of the Steelers mascot?
Steely McBean?
There you go, buddy.
That's my dog right there, boy. Steely McDizzle.
Real quick, who was the first Steeler to wear Rod Woodson's number after he left?
Deshae
Townsend.
Oh damn, that was easy.
Yeah. I met him at the Mills Mall, got a signed football.
Oh hell yeah.
Did he drop it?
No.
Nah.
And it right
Hey,
over
what's
to
up,
me.
Frankie Cruz? Frankie Cruz, my guy from ESEN.
Cruzy.
Yeah, he's all Yankees, baby. He'll tell you about them Yankees.
They got a $10 billion salary for a year.
Hey Cruz, I met Dave Winfield and CeCe Sabathia 2 weekends ago.
Cruz, who would you rather have, Ohtani and Betts or Judge and Juan Carlos, whatever your cat's name, San Juan Carlo?
I went Soto and Judge.
That's the Soto. That's what. Yeah. That's who you'd rather have.
Judge.
That's who you'd rather have.
Yeah.
Mookie's
I'd rather have.
Listen. I love Mike Trout. But Mike Trout's always hurt. He's hurt every year.
Yeah.
Every year. You know, I'm with you, Frankie. I'm all about judging Soto.
I'd rather have
Soto's just
McCutcheon
killing
and
the ball.
Sawinski.
Who do you like? Greg
Hey.
Kaczynski.
No, they brought Sawinski and what's his name back up.
Yeah, Sawinski hit a home run. It's 1-0 Pirates.
Set
Barberman
Bay back
7th. They
Bay
just
back
put in
out.
Holderman.
Let's get out of here. I can't keep dropping actual factual studies on y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here you go. This is a
Actual
good one.
factuals.
Check this one. Robert must be a little bit of an older fella. As a kid, I met
Wow.
Mantle at his restaurant. Still have my signed ball.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Wow. That is.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. I bet Frankie's like all worked up now. Frankie, you still have a beer. Settle down, brother. And you know who else is on here tonight? Smitty.
Smitty.
What's up, Smitty? How'd the kid do? He is great. He's definitely a dog. They moved him to second. Greg Bishop said Mookie's a dog, multi-sport athlete. Hey,
Yeah.
they moved his ass from the outfield, center field to what now? Second base he's playing or
base.
shortstop? Second, right? Yeah, I mean the dude could play anywhere. He's a legit athlete.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wasn't short in Boston, then he moved to the outfield. Now he's back in the second, something like that. Yeah.
I love watching him play. I love watching him play.
All right. Speaking of playing, I got to go play with some lasagna. I'll see you
Hey,
guys
tell us where we can find you.
on Instagram and the X at 1T Youngie.
Okay.
In your dreams.
You can't find me in your gym. I don't want to see it. No.
We know where you can find Chops on the gram at Big Chop 79. On the Twitter, it's at the Real Big Chops. And on Facebook, by my government, Michael Gregory Mills.
There it is. Sheen, I know we can find you everywhere, but go ahead and drop that.
I'm Rasheen Hill everywhere.
And
Yes.
pretty much.
That's it, baby.
Hey, connect with us here on the Original Sports Podcast by checking out our website, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at OSP with M&M. And you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Original Sports Podcast. I'd like to give a shout out to our networks that we're part of. Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, ESEN, that's Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as Manning Media. You can rewatch this show and all our shows on Roku Tuesday nights from 9 to 10. That way you can really absorb all the craziness that goes down. If you need to reach us, you can email us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. Shout out to my guy, Steve Medley, for doing the voice intro. Charlie Hodgson, who takes care of the music. Join us Monday night to hear all about this golf dude named Mike Frasca. Almost dropped that one. Mike Frasca from Callaway Clubs. Until then, we'll see you again, fellas. Take care.
Appreciate it.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.